I was very envious sometime during that first year, and even a little bit toward the end of the first year and into the second year. Yeah, there was a lot of envy, and you know what? And I work through it the same as I work through any other emotions that I have. We talk about it.
It's an emotional roller coaster that you're both going on. It's just that their peaks and your troughs are on the opposite sides. When they're peaking, you're troughing, and so you're kind of both going up and down as you ride this thing together.
But there's also things that we may need to talk about. For example, you're talking about your phone's blowing up or whatever. I believe that if we are together, then we are together, and we don't necessarily need to talk to these other people like constantly on our phones while we're together. I really think that's not just in a relationship sort of situation. If we're friends and we're hanging out, I don't need you to be texting on your phone the entire time that we're hanging out. It's just a respect sort of thing that I think goes across the board.
The texting issue has been explored heavily in different situations for me. There was one relationship I was involved with where if I responded to a text from another woman while I was on a date with her, she was pissed. And she would want to know who I was texting all the time, which made me hesitant to tell her, because sometimes, if I have one person texting me saying, when are we meeting tomorrow? And then I don't respond all night, she's going to be upset at a distance that there wasn't some kind of response. Just all I'd have to do is say 10 p.m. and send it, and it could be over. But to this person that I was on the date with, that was too much communication. We ended up being incompatible because of things like that. Whereas I need to at least respond once. As opposed to 6 months ago, I had a new shiny situation, and we were texting fiends, and there was times where we would be at an event together or something, and eventually, Wicked would realize he's texting this girl constantly.
There were times we were laying in bed together, and I'm like, seriously, you're still texting her? Okay.
Patience of Job over here. But then eventually, Job died at some point.
At a certain point, I had to assert myself and say, hey, I understand that, this is a new girl and you're excited about her. I get that. But this is our time together. So can we just sort of calm that down a little bit? And he was completely understanding. You're right, totally. I'll calm that down. And it was very simple.
But that doesn't fully address where you were going with that idea of, you're talking about the honeymoon's over, your relationship with your partner is dull compared to a new shiny. And it wasn't dull before that new shiny existed because you didn't have the comparison. New relationship energy is the buzzword, the NRE for that. And it's a struggle for anybody that goes through it. Unless you are just purely on the compersion level, you've got 3 really distinct emotions here of jealousy, envy, and compersion. Jealousy and envy, a lot of people equate them as synonymous. I don't. I really see them as distinct, and I believe you do too. Jealousy being, you have a ball. I want to take your ball so that it's my ball. Envy being, that's a great ball. I want a ball too. And so you can both have both have balls. But that's not always possible in the dynamic you're doing, or maybe you can't find the partner to be your new ball. And so you end up in this situation of lack, where your partner has extra and you have less than because your partner's distracted. It's a communication thing, and the more you talk about it, the better. But talking about it could piss you off too. Maybe you don't want to know just how excited your partner is about every little detail that's going on with the new shiny.
Which he's actually really good at. There's times where he's talking to me about someone, and eventually he'll stop for a second. He's like, do you want me to go on? Do you want to hear about this? And usually I'm like, yeah, it's fine. But my point is that he's really good with catching himself when he's sort of exploding with excitement, and checking in with me and saying if this is okay.
Yeah, at some point, communication can get corrupted by too much honesty, too much communication.